Run It Studios is the home of the Run Radio podcast and runradio.net, a podcast and station about the relentless, resilient, and innovative types, inspiring strides in life, business, and beyond. Welcome back to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina, and since Run Radio is all about talking to people who know a thing or two about being relentlessly resilient and innovative with the things they do in their lives, I want to welcome Lauren Callahan, author of Couch to 50 Miles, which we're going to get into more. But welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Trina, for having me.
So how long have you been running?
Less than 7 years.
Oh,
not that long.
Not that long. So have you been into health and wellness your whole life and then moved into it, or was it all just new at once?
I would say it was an interest, maybe not, laser focused fascination like it is now.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in being healthy and always kind of looking for the things, but it really did become a later in life sort of thing for me.
How come?
Yeah, maybe a few different reasons. I originally started running just because I was sitting all the time, right? Like I had a job that required me to sit all the time. And I thought I need to do something, right? So I started just walking/jogging a mile a day. When I met my husband, I found out that he was training for a half marathon. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, he's really cute. I think I'm a runner. So, it really did start that way.
That's some motivation. Whatever it takes, right?
Right. But it did start a train. It was a momentum, right? As we began to get healthier, we started looking into all the things. Well, how can I get better at this? How can I feel better? How can I be faster? How can I have more energy, right? And the more that we, made our lives and nutrition and all the things healthier, mm-hmm. I just discovered the better I felt, right? So it became quite a fascination.
Yeah, a fascination. That's a good way to put it. I feel like a lot of people really do. It becomes not only a hobby, but just an interest and a way of life. Was it kind of that way for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We were certainly, I'm 43, right? I'm not 20. So certainly there's, a little more motivation, as you get older to, you can't live the way that you used to, right? You can't eat the things that you used to. You can't not do things the way that maybe you used to, for a lot of people, right? So, it became just, as we're getting older, we need to do the things that are healthier. But specifically when I really started getting curious about my gut health, and I became curious because of running, right? I wondered what it could do for my running. And it turned out it made all the difference in the world. But not only that, I discovered that I had come to a place in life where I hadn't been sleeping anymore, and now I could sleep. I'd come to a place in life where, I had anxiety and depression in a way that I never had, and now it was better, right? Yeah. I, was always tired and stressed, and now it's not that way, right? Like now I have energy. So it really became something that, I realized how much we tend to accept as normal that's actually not normal.
Right. And you took it to another level. You started writing about it. You started helping other people with it. What kind of preparations did you do for yourself to get educated, to put this book out, and to start taking clients on?
Sure. So I would say that, in my interest about health, I've done every training under the sun, right? Like I was a therapist, and as a therapist, I did a lot of integrative health training. And then aside from that, before I was a therapist, or kind of in between therapy, since I took a break for a while, I pursued all kinds of certifications in personal training and health coaching and chi running and, certain lifting certifications. I pursued a lot of different things. Currently, no, it was triathlon. Now I have an ultra running certification with a specialization in sports performance, right? So it's always been, it's just always a learning thing for me. But truly, when it came to gut health, I had all of that background, and now I tested my gut health, right? and I worked with dietitians and who specialize in gut health around this. And so that began my journey of learning all the things that there are to know about gut health. And then later on, I became a Reiki master as well. And I incorporate that. I feel like it's an amazing adjunct to gut health.
What is your number one tip that we could all do for better gut health today?
Yeah, so that's kind of a frustratingly elusive thing because it's different for everybody.
Okay.
It true like everybody truly has an individual signature as far as their gut health goes. Certainly there are a lot of things that you can do to help, but there is kind of no one thing. Certainly if we're going to look at a high level of taking care of your gut, you've got to cut out the junk, right? Like if you're going to eat highly processed foods and foods that are really high in highly refined sugars, and these are a lot of things that are really acceptable among run culture, right? Like you have
Yeah.
these energy gels and drink beer and whatever. And yeah, I'm not saying like beer in and of itself is bad, but certainly excessively it can
Yeah.
damage your gut. Excessive caffeine can damage your gut. There are a lot of things that can damage your gut. So certainly again, like high level look at your gut, like we definitely want to take those things out, but it's more than nutrition, right? Like your gut is highly impacted by your sleep. It's highly impacted by your stress. So there are a lot of factors that go into it. And actually, I can give more specifics about this later. But one thing I do on my website is that I do offer people an opportunity to go through like their own very high level kind of gut health assessment.
Hmm.
And then, I can provide this more individualized kind of roadmap for what you can do to improve your gut health.
What was your favorite part about writing the book? And let's
You
talk
know,
about the book. The title of your book is Couch to 50 Miles, the story of a girl, a trail, and the relentless need to always run.
Yeah, I'd say one of my favorite parts is that it sort of took on a life of its own. I think I originally intended that this book would be a little bit more of a how-to kind of book,
Yeah.
more about, how to with regards to nutrition and things like that. I will say that I am publishing this week. It'll be out really soon at the end of this week, I think. It is more of a how-to book,
Okay.
but for this one,
Hmm.
that's what I intended, and it became something very different. It became a lot more inspirational as I wrote. I realized that there was so much background. When one of the number one things that I hear people say is, "Oh my God, I could never do that. I could barely run a mile." And what I wanted people to know was that, well, 7 years ago, that was me. I could also barely run a mile.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would hear from people all the time was, something to the effect of, "That's really great. You're living your best life." And what I wanted people to know is, actually there's a lot that I was working toward, right? Like a lot of people couldn't understand the I don't know, that dogmatic sort of persistence in running long distances. And for me, like I was working through a lot of trauma. Like there was a lot in my background that I was healing from,
Yeah.
and running was a huge part of that. So I think I kind of wanted people to know, well, maybe if it's not your fascination, you're just not as neurotic as I am, right? It's a bigger story here. And so I wanted people to see the healing journey that I was on as I was running.
You said that a lot of people say, I couldn't even do 1 mile. And how do you encourage them just to get started? Because sometimes when we have those barriers or those self-imposed obstacles, it can be difficult to figure out how to get around, over, and under them.
Yeah, what I want to tell people is not to undermine that 1 mile that you can barely do, right? Like when I was walking slash jogging a mile a day, that was exactly what I needed at the time, right? And you don't grow to 2 miles until you do 1 mile, and you don't go to 3 miles until you do two, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes you'd surprise yourself. Maybe you can't do two, and then one day you can go do five, right? Like
Yeah.
you can really surprise yourself, but more than anything, don't undermine what you can do right now, and just always be on a growth pattern, right? Celebrate what you can do now. And then 1 or 2 days this week, do a little bit more, right? Stretch yourself a little bit, and you will be absolutely surprised at what you are capable of, and how when you come out on the other side, you will know to the core of your being, wow, I can do anything.
When did you first really surprise yourself?
I would say, I mean, there were many surprises along the way, but I would say when I did finally run my first 50-mile ultra, which, part of what is talked about in this book is that it took me 4 years to run a marathon. I tried it and I failed every single time, right? I have thrown my running shoes across the room many, many times, right?
Yeah.
But, once I got in this path of gut health, I really broke through a lot of barriers, and I did finally run my marathon. And then only a few months later, I ran my first 50 miler. And truly, when I got to 50 miles, that was when, you can do self-talk all day long. You can tell yourself, I can do anything. I can do anything. You can tell yourself, but that was the moment where I truly knew it in the core of my being. Wow, I can do anything.
That's great. I'm glad for that. So it does go to say, you can be in good health, but when you get your diet and everything else feeling right and getting better, you can go that much further. So, how
Yes.
sometimes we don't realize we're putting up with gut problems and everything. What are some of those markers we need to be watching for to know that that's not just okay that everybody does, that these are things that could be fixed?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question, but I want to put it in this context.
Sure.
Scientists are calling the gut your second brain.
Yes.
And there's a really good reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is because just as everything is connected to your brain, like nothing is really going to happen in your body for the most part without your brain, your gut is the same way. It is attached and connected to everything. So for me, what I have learned, especially on the other side, right, like looking back at all of the things that improved when I healed my gut, and as I see in my clients, right, they come to me for one thing and then they improve their gut health, they heal their gut, and they look back and they can list a million things that have gotten better. So for me, it really is the thing that you should be considering no matter what you are experiencing. Like if you are experiencing chronic illness, right? Your gut is related to your immunity. If you are tired all the time, your gut is related to your energy. If you have bloating, this crazy belly fat you don't know what to do with, right? Any sort of like gastrointestinal issues, women in particular just take this as normal. I find all the time that is related to your gut health.
Mm-hmm.
If you cry for no reason, if you have anxiety, panic attacks, depression, this is absolutely related to your gut health.
Mm-hmm.
If you find you're hitting a wall in the afternoon, you're getting brain fog, it's related to your gut health. Like everything. If you're having inflammation, if you are a runner and you are continually hitting a wall with injury, this is related to your gut health, right? So for me, it's kind of like whatever you're experiencing, you need to check your gut and see what's going on there.
Okay. Let's get back to the running and the distances. So you've pretty much covered every distance out there. What's your favorite to do on a more regular basis?
Oh, that's a really great question. I live really near a lot of trails, like a lot of forest trails. And so there's actually one trail in particular that I really love to go out to. You can go in and out, it's 5 miles one way. So going out and doing a 10-mile run on a forest trail, this one in particular near my house, I absolutely love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
want to do it as much as possible.
Do you like trails more than road running?
I do, I do. And I would say that that is the reason that I run. If I
Oh,
had
okay.
gotten into running just being on a road, I don't think it would have lasted.
Really?
I love being out in the forest. It's so,
Ah,
filling to the soul, right?
it is beautiful. Now, I'm so clumsy. I've got to run on the road. I can walk in the trails, but it's a different run. It's really, to me, two
It
different
is.
workouts completely.
Yeah, you're very right. You're very right. And sometimes I'll purposefully choose to go on a road run,
Yeah.
because it is different. It's variety. You work things differently, and I recognize the need for that.
So is running your main cardio? Is that what you do primarily, or do you switch it up throughout the week often?
I'd say yes and no. It's my absolute favorite. It's what I love to do, but I also do triathlon. So I actually did
Okay.
100K race last weekend,
Yeah.
and as of today, I've officially switched over into Ironman training. So
Okay.
now it's swim,
Eh,
bike, and run. But
ooh,
I want to add in strength training. Strength training. Oh my God,
yes.
strength training. Yes, like please do it if you're not.
Please. I know I always say that no matter what.
Yes.
I always say be sure, especially women, get that
Yes,
strength training in. It's
that's
important.
right. That's right.
Um,
Absolutely.
So
That helps your gut
aside,
health too, as an aside.
what's that?
It helps your gut health, as an aside. The strength
Oh,
training does.
really?
Yes, it does.
How so?
Honestly, I don't know the mechanics of it. I just know that there are studies out there showing that women who are strength training, and this is true for general exercise too, but also specifically strength training, that women who are doing strength training, that they have better gut health.
Oh, good to
Yeah.
know. Good.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
So when you're doing your more strenuous exercises, what's something that you like to move your body, but just kind of go easy? What's your next best thing that you enjoy?
Oh, like as in not running?
Yeah.
God, stand-up paddleboarding.
Really?
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of one of those things that whenever I'm taking a break from run training or triathlon training, I go stand up paddleboarding and I think this is all I ever want to
Oh,
do.
neat.
This is it.
And talk about the importance of rest. And you, of all people, have to know when you're doing those long events, those hard events, you got to rest hard too. Please tell me what that looks like so people understand how important it is.
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked that. That is so, so important. It is one of the most important parts of your training. Like, as in, you should probably put it on your training plan to make sure that you're getting enough rest. So one of the things that I do is, I have the flexibility in my schedule to be able to do this, and I recognize that not every person does. But most days of the week, I sleep until I wake up. I don't set
Oh,
an
yeah.
alarm. And that may mean that I have to adjust everything in my day and I have to adjust when I train or whatever. But I just know that it's important. I can't do that all the time because of my kids' school schedule, but when I can, I sleep until I wake up. And I really make that of high importance. The other thing I would add to that, and I know I get to be kind of a broken record with gut health, is that when I did improve my gut health, I was much better able to rest and recover. Recovery happened much more quickly, and I could sleep. So I know there are a lot of people who are saying, I recognize the importance of sleep, but I can't get to sleep. Well, that can, like, check your gut health, right? Like, that is highly
Yeah.
related. And so I work with women on that all the time, right? So that you can get the true recovery that you need.
Excellent. What do you go to food wise when you're about to do an event? And what's your favorite post race indulgence, whether it be a beverage, a certain food, or a combination of the two?
Okay, so this is kind of laughable, and you'll probably never hear this from anybody else. If it is winter, okay, if it is cold outside, my favorite go-to during a race is eggnog.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's got a good little mix of
yeah.
carbs, protein, fat, all things. If it's not cold though, my next favorite go-to is tomato soup. I love it.
Okay.
So I don't know. For me, like, palate fatigue is really huge, and eating it just can be really hard. So anything that's
Yeah.
liquid does a lot better. And afterward, that's a hard one. I'm really terrible. Like, by the end of a really long event, I'm usually having a shutdown as far as what I can eat. So I really did, like, I have nothing that I can say, oh, I really want this after a long event. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, what can I get down? A lot of times it's my
Yeah.
husband just brings some food to me and shoves it in my face and is like, you need to eat this.
Yeah.
And I say, I know you're right. So I'll eat it.
Do you find that your appetite, kind of like you're saying, like mine will often kick in like a day and a half later? Like,
Yes.
then I'm
Yes.
like, hey, I'm hungry, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. It's a real issue with me. I mean, I'd say every other day my gut health is doing really well. But when it comes to the really long events on race day, I have a real problem towards the end with eating,
Yeah.
getting things in.
The appetite just not
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you want people to know just about being generally fit? I know a lot of people will listen to this and think, well, forget it. I don't want to be an ultra marathoner and I'm not an outdoorsy person, but there's so much importance to just living your best life with good gut health and just being able to bend over and tie your shoes. So talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
that aspect of it for people that need to hear that.
That's such a great question. Like what comes up for me immediately is one of the principles that I bring to all of my clients, and I tell them, this is the thing that will make the difference between you being healthy and not. And what I call it is the goddess first principle. Now I call it that because my business is Goddess Health, right?
Right.
But the point of it is that you have to put yourself first. And I know that at first glance that can sound very selfish, but what I know, what my clients know, what we just know from experience is that when you absolutely put yourself and your health first, you are much better able to be present for everybody else and everything else that you want to be present for, right? The family you love, the career you need to just be a star at, or whatever it is, right? You are much better able to do that when you put yourself first and when you put your health first. And so, that does mean something different for everybody, but it could be as simple as, no, I'm not going to, you know, uh, your emergency is not my emergency today. I need to, make my smoothies that I'm going to have for lunch this week, right? So that I'm not going to eat fast food or not eat at all, right? Or something like that. Like, I am going to make this time for me to do this, right? And then, you feel better, you're healthier, you're ready, for the week. I mean, again, this is not like everybody needs to take time on a Sunday to make smoothies for the, this is some
Right.
people, right? Like their
Right.
plan.
Right.
But this is, for example, one person's way of putting themselves first, making time for themselves first, right? Or it may be that you say, I've got all these things that I need to do, but I am going to start off spending a half hour in the morning, just for, breathing or quiet meditation, or just making sure I have a slow sit down kind of breakfast. And then I'm going to get to the other things I need to do. But you're going to put yourself first, whatever that means for you, so that you protect your health and you are better able to be present for the world around you as well.
I really like that. Thank you so much. What else do people need to know that I didn't think about asking? There's so much that you can offer to tell us. You're going to have to come back, I think.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to.
Yeah,
That
I
would
would
be
love
great.
for you to. Tell
That would be
people where
really
they
great.
can go to connect with you.
Sure. Yeah. So goddesshealth.org is where you can find me. And so what I do on there, you can get a copy of my book on there, but also you can opt into what I call an individualized gut health roadmap. It's a very high level kind of assessment that you can pick up for your gut health. And then you have a chance to talk with me for 15 minutes where we can get you going in the right direction. So yeah, goddesshealth.org. You can check that out.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time. Good luck with your training. Come
Thank
back and tell
you.
us how it went.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Trina.
Sounds good. Be sure you're following along. You can listen and link over to watch on whichever platform you prefer, like YouTube or Spotify, all from runradio.net.